What's up, everybody? Matt Gajeski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we are talking all things betting in the G5 ahead of the college football season. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you today by BetMGM. They are powering the show and they have a phenomenal offer for you guys. You can get up to a $1,000 risk-free bet with your first deposit at BetMGM. If you click the link in the video description below or use the promo code OSCFB, that will allow you to take advantage of that $1,000 risk-free bet with your first deposit. All right, getting into the G5, we're going to talk one conference team that is a little closer to a straight up pick 'em to win. We're going to talk somewhere in the middle, and we're going to talk a complete long shot to win their conference. So 3 teams up, 3 teams down. We're going to start with the AAC, where we have Houston. This conference right now, Cincinnati is plus 190 to win. They are the betting favorite. Houston right behind them at plus 250. They're the team I like to win this conference. And this will be the bet that's a little closer to just a straight pick 'em on either side. Win total sits at 9. That is minus 125. I think you can look to that as well. But overall, Houston has a very strong roster heading into this year. They bring back Clayton Tune, who was actually the AAC's highest graded quarterback last year and highest graded passer overall. Completed 68% of his passes, 8.4 yards per attempt. And he's mobile. That was kind of ruined a little bit last year due to a hamstring injury he suffered early in the year. But Tune, he had over 200 rushing yards in the 2 previous seasons, so not too worried about the mobility. The offensive line, they lose 2 full-time starters, but they're returning 3 awesome players here, and they're going to the transfer portal a little bit here. Texas transfer Tyler Johnson comes over. Middle Tennessee State transfer Lance Robinson comes over. These are 2 pretty good players here that can fill right in for Houston. Not to mention, they're a team that recruits pretty well for the AAC. On defense, you return 6 starters. Multiple players have starting experience. You do have to replace some pretty solid NFL draft production, but this is still a team where you have 3 players with all conference honors on their defense, and they did add Jamal Morris in the transfer portal. Moses Alexander comes in as a pretty high-profile recruit here. Houston also has a fairly winnable schedule. When you look at who they play, non-con is UTSA, Texas Tech, Kansas, and Rice. I think you get at least 2 wins there, if not more. And then in conference, you're dodging some of the better teams. You don't see UCF on the schedule, not South Florida. You want to play South Florida. You don't see UCF, Central Florida on the schedule. You don't see Cincinnati. It's a fairly winnable conference schedule as well, in addition to what they play in non-con. So I like the win total here at 9.5. I also like Houston at plus 250 to win the AAC. Both are bettable in my opinion. Next conference we'll talk about is the MAC, generally one of the more wide open conferences in college football, and I think that is very much the case this year. When you look at the odds to win the MAC, Toledo is the betting favorite, plus 340, which is interesting considering they just lost 2 starting offensive linemen last week. Their entire right side is now gone, meaning Toledo returns just 1 starter on their offensive line. I don't know, plus 340 even as the favorite, not something I like, not to mention they play in the more difficult side. When you look to the MAC on the eastern side, Kent State stands out at plus 850. Their win total is only 5. The over is juiced, but a lot of that comes down to their schedule. So Kent State plays an incredibly difficult non-conference schedule. We saw that last year with this team, and they were actually able to still win their side and represent the East in the MAC championship. Their non-conference this year has Washington, Oklahoma, Long Island, and Georgia. They're probably coming out of that 3-1. But then on the other side, they play Toledo and they play Eastern Michigan. Both teams have significant questions. And the teams in Kent State side feature Akron, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Ohio. Basically the worst teams in this conference. So Kent State, they're plus 850 to win the MAC. In my opinion, they just have to get there, and then they're going to be a live team in that game. So plus 850, that's something I'm going to back. And we haven't even gotten into their roster. Colin Schlee, he's been the longtime backup to Dustin Crum. He's mobile. I think that's solid. They're returning 3 running backs. They have solid receivers. They still have Dante Cephas, Jay-Sean Polk. Offensive line returns 2 full-time starters, 3 players with starting experience, and then they hit the transfer portal. Michigan transfer Nolan Rumler comes over. Rutgers transfer Kevin Toth. This unit should be better than last year. And then on defense, 6 starters return. But they have a new DC in Jeremiah Johnson. He comes over from Northern Iowa, and hopefully he can revamp that unit. So plus 850 will be the bet in the MAC with Kent State. Then our long shot, we're going to head to the Mountain West, where you can back San Jose State 25-1. This might seem like a long shot, and it certainly is, but I think it is one that is live. You look at the top of the conference, you have questions about some of these teams. Air Force will be running the triple option. They return a lot of players, but you're still dealing with some amazing, really, that they've been this good because they have such deficiencies in terms of recruiting and the transfer portal. Boise State, they have offensive line questions. They allowed 27 sacks last year. Then they lost a couple starters. Their defense is very good. That'll be how they have to win, but can they hang with that offensive line? Wyoming's going through a significant rebuild. Colorado State has a new coaching staff. On the other side, San Diego State lost a lot of players, and they're going through a rebuild. Fresno State has offensive line deficiencies as well. It got Jake Haener hurt last year. And then you get to San Jose State. They're a team that finished 5-7 last year, but they hit the portal really hard. Chavon Cordero comes over from Hawaii. He was actually the 4th highest graded quarterback in the Mountain West last year, and he's extremely mobile. They added a bunch of transfers in addition to their top 3 receivers returning. Elijah Cooks comes over. Justin Lockhart comes over. Their offensive line loses 3 starters, but 2 of them were the worst starters on their team in Trevor Robinson and Kyle Hoppe. The 2 starters they do return are solid. And then this is another team that hit the transfer portal. Washington State transfer comes over. James McNorton. Utah transfer. Maris Talavu. The list goes on. And then on defense, they're returning 8 starters with plenty of all-conference honors. And some of these players are still holdovers from that team that won the Mountain West 2 years ago. You have every single player on your defensive line holding at least honorable mention all-conference honors, which is going to be key in a conference, especially on a side that has Fresno State where they like to throw the ball. Which brings me to the schedule. They have 3 winnable games in non-con. You play Portland State, Auburn, Western Michigan, and New Mexico State. I think we know where the loss is coming. In their schedule, they dodge Air Force and they dodge Boise State. You're playing just Fresno State. That game is on the road. It is going to be challenging, but as far as Mountain West schedules go, this is one of the easier ones. So no, they shouldn't be the betting favorite to win the Mountain West, but at 25-1, there are certain paths where you can see them getting to the title game and pulling an upset, especially with their roster and what they've added. If you don't like that, their win total sits at 6.5. I think that is completely bettable as well. I like the over. It is plus 110. You're getting some solid money there. But those will be our bets today. Again, to recap, it is Houston plus 250 to win the AAC, Kent State plus 850 to win the MAC, and you look at the Mountain West, San Jose State plus 2,500, 25-1 to win their conference. Let me know who you guys like to win some of these G5 conferences. I will certainly get back to you in the comment section. And let me know what you think about the picks today. My name is Matt Kajeski on Twitter at Matt_Kajeski. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time.